couldn't I just watch Happy Days? Today we are talking about 1973's American Graffiti. And yes, you could just watch Happy Days if you didn't want to grow. American Graffiti is George Lucas's first full-length feature film. And it was set in 1962 and explored the evening a bunch of brand spanking new high school graduates had hanging out in their town with their girls, cruising around in their cars, trying to figure out life and love and their futures. And American Graffiti is really beautiful. George Lucas did an exceptional job for all the trouble he had with it. Because he had quite a few issues filming this movie, what with his cast sometimes being drunk and rowdy, and the whole filming process with the cars was difficult, and their shooting locations were weird, and whatever. But ultimately, it became sort of a cult classic. I would say that. The three main characters are incredibly similar to Richie Cunningham, Potsy, and Fonzie, but I mean, it's a really beautiful story about growing up and figuring out what you want to do, and it's also an incredible look into the life of teenagers in the 60s before they had real places to hang out. You know, there weren't malls and stuff, and so kids would just cruise, which was basically the fun thing to do on the weekends. You drive around in your cars and pick people up and hang out, make out, whatever you wanted to do. It didn't really matter. There's a great character in this movie. I forget her name, but she's basically like Joni. She's as obnoxious as Joni. She's a teeny bopper is what they call her. And she's just really fun because she has this fresh insight on life and adulthood and love and everything, and all the other characters are they're more bitter than her because she's just a child and she's in awe of everything that comes with being a teenager, and the rest of them are just sort of used to it. And so it's a great perspective from her end, and she has high hopes for her future, and she's just the most inspirational of the characters. The rest of the characters are interesting. Ron Howard's character, Steve, is, sort of trapped with what he wants to do. If he wants to leave and go to school with his best friend Kurt, or if he wants to stay with his girl, Lori, and he just can't decide. And then there's Kurt, who spends the entire night thinking and dreaming of this blonde woman he sees, and hoping for one last romantic stint before he goes off to college. And then there's John, who's like Fonzie, and he doesn't really have any goals, and he's just kind of, focused on girls. And then there are the others, all the other characters. There's the Toad, and Bob Falfa, played by Harrison Ford, and then just a bunch of other random people you meet on the streets. It's just a good coming-of-age story. It's good for thinking. Haven't seen it in a while. I can't find my copy. I'm real cheesed off. But it's great. It's just very sentimental, heartwarming. 2 thumbs up. But if you don't want to spend an hour and a half watching this movie, then go ahead and watch 3 episodes of Happy Days. Make yourselves more ignorant. See if I care.
They had put a fart machine into my sleeping bag.